Hi everybody, it's Joni here at Joni's Journals. And as you can see, I've been making boxes, prototypes and experiments and making it the right size. And that's what's been going on in my little world this week. If you follow me on my channel, you will know that I have been playing with Tracy Fox's new Creep On playing cards, and I have constructed a 2-ring binder, which we did in a video. We did a page out of it last week on one of my YouTube videos. Excuse my printer, it's having a fit over there. And I've made a cover off camera, front and back. And if you want to learn how we did that, check out my videos on my channel. And we also made a little flip journal, a little tag flip or a little card flip journal, which we did a couple of pages on that on my channel last week. So you may want to go and check that out. And then I said that I was going to make a little deck of cards from the cards, and I did that this week. I've been very busy. Well, now I had my little deck of cards, and I had my little tag journal, and I needed something to store it in. So I started experimenting. This was my first attempt at making a box, and as you can see, I've used some of Tracy Fox's backgrounds from the Creep On Playing Cards kit, and another background that she used in her Creep On June Matchbox kit. It was a collaboration, and I made that one out of scrap, and although I was happy with it, it wasn't heavy enough. So then I started experimenting with craft stock, and I later decorated them. This is a paper of Tracy's from the Creep On June. This was a freebie. And then I made these two. And this is the one that I am storing my cards in. It's a little big, but I might be making more cards, so you never know. And I used the backgrounds. I made some circle closures. I added a string. And now it closes up nice and tight. I'm not going to wrap the whole thing around. And then since I was experimenting and I wanted to make the box correctly, I made one, and I'm keeping my little tag journal in it. And it's perfect for it because you can see the journal moves around and it stays kind of folded out. So what I thought we would do together is we would make a box today. And this is actually my third attempt at making this video, and it's just one of those days for me. So I had to come back and make another video. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you in a little closer, and I hope that's not too close. Let me just stand up and check. Nope, not too bad. I think we could come down a little bit further. Okay, I hope I didn't make you too seasick. And let's see. There we go. Okay, so in order to make our box, what you're going to need, your tools are going to be a cutting board, a scoreboard, a circle punch, a corner rounder, and 2 paper fasteners. Okay, if you don't have the exact same things, I'm sure you can improvise somehow. Now, in order to make our box, we're going to cut out a couple of sizes of paper, and our first one, this is our scrap left over from our cutting, and I will show you what we do with that. Our first one is going to be 8 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches high. Let's see if I can get that. Our second sheet is going to be 7 1/2 inches wide by 6 1/8 inches high. Let me move you up because now I feel like you're too close. Let's just slide you back up without making you seasick. There we go. I think that's better. So we had one 8 by 6 1/4. Now we have one 7 1/2 by 6 1/8. And that's going to be the back of our box and the front of our box. And then we need one that's going to be 7 1/2 inches wide by 4 1/2 inches high. And that is going to be our lid. All right, let's get out our scoreboard. Like I said, this is the third time I've made this video today because on my last one, I didn't cut my paper correctly and I ended up cutting off the bottom of my box. Okay, let's take our piece that is 6 1/4 by 8, and we're going to put the 8-inch side facing up against the top of our scoreboard, and now we're going to score. We're going to score at, let me move this down a little bit. Okay, and let me move you up there so now you can see the scoreboard. Okay, 8 inches wide, 6 1/4 inches high, and we're going to put the 8-inch edge up against the top of the scoreboard, and we're going to score at 2. We're going to score at 5 1/2, and we're going to score at 7 1/2. Now, I have a non-directional paper, so it doesn't matter which way I flip it. If yours is directional, you are going to have to adjust your flipping for your paper. But this is going to be the top of your box. So if your pattern is running this way with the top being here, you're going to flip it once to the left. If you're using non-directional paper, it doesn't really matter which way you flip it. Okay, so we flipped it to the left, and now we're going to score at 4 1/4. Okay, so this was the 8-inch side, scored at 2, 5 1/2, 7 1/2, flipped it, whichever way your paper is facing, that's how you'll flip it, and then we scored at 4 1/4. Okay, we're going to put that piece aside, and we're going to grab our piece of paper that is 7 1/2 long by 6 1/8 high, and we're going to score this one at 2 and at 5 1/2. It's going to leave you 2 inches on each side, same as this one. Okay, and we're going to turn it, and we are going to score it at 4 1/8. Okay, now that's the other part of our box, which is ultimately the back. Now this is going to be our lid. It is, I'm trying to see which side of the paper I like more. I think I'm going to use this side. This is the lid of our box, and remember, this is 7 1/2 wide or long by 4 1/2 inches high. And this one we are going to score at 4 1/4 and at 6 1/4. You're going to turn it to the side. Remember, if you have directional paper, this is going to be the front flap, the top, and the back. So depending on how you want your direction to run, that's how you flip your paper. Okay, now we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Yes, 1/2 inch. This has been a bad morning for me, and I don't want to make a mistake again. And then we're going to score at 4. So your 7 1/2 inch side, you score at 4 1/4 and at 6 1/4. Turn it, and this is your 4.5 inch side, and score at 1/2 and at 4. Okay, now we have all of our scores, and we're going to do our cutting. What I did to make my circle closures is I had a piece of scrap left over. Depending on how you cut your paper is the size of the scrap you're going to end up with, but this is the size of the scrap that I ended up with. I'm just going to turn my light a little. I feel like we're kind of in the dark. Okay, I think that's a bit better. And I punched out 8 circles. Okay. To make our closures, I glued 3 of the circles together, and then I glued 3 of the circles together, and that leaves you with your other 2 circles, which you're going to see what we're going to do with those. We are going to protect our little paper fasteners and our fingers with those extra little circles. Okay, let's get our scoreboard out of here and begin cutting. And this is the reason that I have had to make this video 3 times today, because when I was showing you how to cut the 6 1/8 inch size page, which is the back of our box, I mistakenly cut the whole bottom off. And when I started to assemble the box, I got to the box part and realized that the back of my box, which I can't find right now, no longer had a bottom. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. I went to put the whole box together and realized I cut off the bottom of the box. I was not a happy puppy. So I just got rid of the video and started all over again. Okay, this is our piece of paper that was 6 1/8 inches high by 7.5 inches wide, and we're going to cut our little corners off here. Okay, so we're going to cut up our score marks like this. And then we're going to cut across like this. And we're going to take out those little corners because we don't really need them. Okay, and put that aside and maybe use it for a backer on, I don't know, maybe a photo, or if you want, you can make your little circle closures 4 pieces thick. I find that 3 is fine, but it's just some ideas for your scrap. Okay, so that's our scrap, and now we have the back of our box, which we can fold on our score lines, like so, and we can put that aside, because we're not going to need that for a few minutes. This is our piece of paper that is 6 1/4 inches high by 8 inches wide. And what we're going to do, you have that little 1/2 inch piece right here on the bottom. You can see, I don't know if you can see my score marks. Maybe if I turn it over, there you go. You should be able to see it. This is that little 1/2 inch piece. We're going to cut that off. So we're going to cut up our score line as straight as possible, which I am not good at. And then we're going to cut this little piece off here. So what you'll end up with is something that looks like this. Okay? Now we're going to create the bottom flap and the little side flaps for the bottom of our box for the front. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut up this score line here, and then you are going to make a little angle cut. I'm going to make mine a little better than that, like so. So now you'll have this. Then on the other side, on your little corner box, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to cut up on your score line to just the next score line, and you're going to cut a little angle. They don't have to be even. You're not going to see this. This is just for ease of assembly. Okay, so now you have something that looks like this. Okay, missing that angle. I'm going to put that aside just for now. This is the lid of our box, which is this piece, and I kept it as a backer for the box because it makes the box a little bit sturdier. What you're going to do, this is going to be your front flap, your box lid, this part, okay? And this is the back of your box, which is this part, okay? What you're going to do, on the part that is the back of your box, you are going to cut up your score line. That would be your little 1/2 inch score line, and try to get as close to the edge of here as possible, and try to keep it straight, which I am a lousy cutter and I never get it straight. So you're going to cut up, and then you're going to cut across like that to your next score line. Okay, and I didn't cut far enough. Back of your lid, top of your lid, front of your lid, front flap. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and we're going to cut up our score line as straight as possible. And of course, again, mine's not going to be straight. And we're going to cut just to the score line there. And then we're going to cut across this way. Whoop, without cutting my finger. Okay, so now you have a piece that looks like this. Once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Back of the box, top of the box, front flap. Now, on your front flap portion, you're going to cut across on your little score line here, up to the edge. And then you're going to cut across here on the outside of your flap, like that. And it's going to look like that. And you're going to do the same on the other side, like so. Okay, there we go. All right, didn't cut my finger. So now you have a piece that looks like this. Okay, this is your box cover. Again, back of the box, top of the box, front flap. Okay. Now, in order to make your box fit nicely, fit your lid to fit nicely inside your box, what you're going to do is you're going to cut little angles on the remaining flaps. They don't have to be the same size. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be there to make your lid fit into your box. Okay? Like so. So now your lid looks like this. Okay, we're going to put that aside, and we're going to push our scraps up there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the holes for our little circle closers in our lid and in our box, and we're going to measure carefully. I wrote on this side, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the mark. Okay, this was my 6 1/4 inch piece, and I'm going to erase that little mark there. I'm going to move my light in because that might make it easier for you to see. I'm going to erase my little mark on there. All right. Now you're going to need a little pokey tool, which I forgot to include in my list of tools. And you're going to need a ruler. You want this to be as close as to the center of the front of your box as possible. So what you're going to do, oops, I'm stuck on my string. If you fold your edges in, it might make it a little bit easier for you to see. You're going to measure. Whoop, turn my ruler the right way. And you can see that the front portion of your box is, give or take a smidge, 3.5 inches wide. So you're going to need to be in the center. So half of 3.5 is 1 3/4. And I'm going to make a pencil mark like so. So now you have the center from side to side. To give yourself enough room, you're going to want to come down. I came down 2 inches because I wanted enough room for my string and for my box to close nicely. So you're going to come, I came down, you can come down same way. I came down 2 inches from the top of the box. Remember, this is the top, this is your bottom flap. And I'm going to make a mark at 2 inches. Now, I'm going to show you what I did. Okay. This was our center across, and this is 2 inches down. And what you're going to do is you're going to poke a hole at that point. I'm going to use my paper because I left my little wood block on the other table. I'm going to use my pokey tool, which my friend Cheryl Hardy very nicely made me one out of polymer clay. And I'm going to poke my hole 2 inches down from the top and 1 3/4 inches from the side. And I'm going to poke it, and I'm just going to work it a little to make it nice and wide. I'm going to make sure I went straight through to the other side so you can see we've got our little hole. And then I have a bit of a sore throat today. Whoops. On our flap for our box lid, we're going to measure to the center again. Let's move this out of the way. And this piece again is 3.5 inches wide, give or take a smidge. So we're going to go to our 1 3/4 inch mark and make a line. And then the flap is about 1 1/4 inches wide. So I've been making my mark at about 1/2 inch or maybe a little more. I'm going to go to the next little line. This is your 1/2 inch line. Let's see if you can see that. A 1/2 inch line here. So I've been going to the next little line, which I think is 1 2 3 4 5/8, and make a little mark. So now we'll just make our lines meet. And that's about the center of the front of our flap. Let's get my ruler out of here and pick up my pokey tool, which fortunately did not poke me. And we're going to use our little book again. And we're going to poke a hole. The object of this is to make sure that your little circles are centered. You can do it whatever way you want. I'm kind of anal, and so I measure mine. You can just use your eye and see if it's the center. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my pencil marks on both of my pieces of my box. Now erase my pencil marks. Okay, there we go. And now what you're going to do, I'm just going to make my hole again, just so that I know that it's there. Now you're going to take your little circles that you made and glued together, and you're going to find the center. And if you're anyone like me, even when I eye it, I never quite get it in the center. That looks like the center. We're going to poke a hole, And we're going to make the hole nice and big because we have to get our paper fasteners through the hole. And my paper fasteners have been being fussy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push this all the way through and try to make that hole a little bit bigger so that I can get my paper fastener through. So you have what looks like that. Okay. Your little circle with your hole. And then we're going to try and center this one too. And I'm going to say right about there. I could be anal and measure, but I am not going to be. And so we're going to poke a hole. And we're going to push it all the way through without stabbing ourselves. And like I said, I'm going to try and make the hole a little bit bigger because my paper fasteners have been being fussy. And we're going to grab one of our paper fasteners and we're going to wiggle it in and we're going to put it inside our hole like so. See, I told you they're being fussy. You may have to work yours in a little or use a different tool. If you have a crocodile, you might want to make your hole with that. Okay, we got it. Okay, so there it is, and it's almost in the center. And then we're going to take our other one, and we're going to put our paper fastener through the hole. Please go through the hole. Don't bend on me. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. That was a little bit more successful than a few times that I've tried. So now you have your little circle closures with your paper fasteners in them. And I'm going to move my little book. Now we're going to take, let's put my pokey tool away so I don't lose it or stab myself with it. We're going to take our corner punch, and this is our lid. And I may do a little bit of inking with you. I'm not sure. I have been inking my boxes after I've made them. I'm going to lift my light up a little. Okay, because it's distracting me. I don't know if it's bothering you. And I'm going to round my corners with my corner rounder. Mine has 3 sizes. It's a 4, a 7, and a 10. And I'm using my 10. Okay. I'm going to fold all my little flaps in. And then I'm going to take one of my circles and I'm going to attach it to my front flap. Let me see if I turn it this way. You might be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better. See? Now it came through the back. Let me move that out of the way for a second. And I'm going to fold the little legs down like so. I try not to make it too tight so that this will move around a bit. Now remember our extra little circles that we punched, because we punched 8 and we only used 6 to make our fasteners. If I can get a hold of it. Now we're going to take one of our extra little circles and we're going to smear it with glue like you would smear cream cheese on a bagel in New York. I'm going to smear it with glue and we're going to cover up our little fastener with our circle, and I'm just squeezing it down to make sure it's stuck. And you may have to do this for a few minutes. I seem to be being successful getting it glued down. And so you see, we've covered up our paper fastener so that we don't poke ourselves or catch anything on it. Can you see that? Okay, see, it's still not sticking, but it will. And then what we're going to do, remember this is the front of our box. We're going to take our other paper fastener and we're going to poke it through the hole on the front of our box, like so. See, it came through the back. Once again, we're going to bend the little legs down and we're going to take our other little circle, which I can't get a hold of. Okay, there we go. And we're going to smear it with glue just like the other one, and cream cheese on a New York bagel. I am from New York, if you can't tell by my accent. And I have relocated. We built a new home in Florida. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick that one down, like so. And this one's being a little bit of a fuss budget. Let's just get that down. Okay. And there we go. All right. Then what you can do, I did it. I put a little thumb hole or a little thumb notch, I guess that's a better word, in the front of my box. And so we can take our little, 1-inch circle punch and kind of try to get it in the center. I'm going to line it up with the front of mine because I know that it's in the center. And we're just going to clip a little notch. Now you'll notice I haven't inked anything. And in fact, I forgot to ink my circles. But that's okay. We don't need to ink everything. Okay, so now we have our flap, the front of our box. And now we're going to grab the back of our box. Okay. We're going to fold up on our score lines on the front of our box, like so, and like so. Okay. You can use a bone folder to flatten yours out if you want, and I may just do that. Okay. That's one. That's another. That's another. And you can also take the sides of your box and flatten out those score lines. Don't forget your little notch, your little flap here. That's what kind of keeps the box a little bit secure on the back. Okay. And then here's our other box edge. Okay, we got that. And we're going to do the same on the back of our box. Fold it down flat. This will help your box keep its shape while you're constructing it so that it stays nice and square. And we're going to fold down our score line on there. All right, let's start. Oh, see my little circles popping up. That's okay. Let's start to assemble our box. This is the front of our box, and here's our little flaps that we made when we cut the angle. And we're going to put some glue all around the edges, like so. Whoop. And we're going to glue it to the bottom flap of our box. And we're going to line up our edges as close as we can. I hope you can see that. Oh, it looks like it's going to rain again. We need the rain here in Florida. Southwest Florida, anyway. It's been kind of dry. Let's glue our edges. So any rain we get is a help. Okay, and we're going to glue our other flap in to the bottom of our box, like so. So now you have something that looks like this. And I'm just going to press mine down so that they stay stuck. And we have the front of our box. Okay, here's the front and two sides, our little flap and the bottom. Now we're going to take the back of our box. Oops, we forgot to erase our little note to ourselves that said 6 1/8. Okay. All right, now we're going to take the back of our box and join it with the front of our box. Ultimately, what you're going to do is this part is going to slip inside of our box to create the back of our box. So it's going to look like this, but we're going to glue it down, okay? Not this flap. This flap is going to cover the outside of our box. So we're going to take one of our side flaps. I'm going to put glue all around the edges and a little smidge down the middle. Flip it over, and we're going to do the same on the other side, all around the edges, like so. That's a little bit much, so we'll just drag some of that out, and then a little smidge down the middle. Now, keeping your bottom flap out, you are going to, I'm trying to figure the best way to show you this. You're going to slide that little box onto the inside of our pre-assembled set, like so. So now you have something that looks like this. Okay? I'm going to take my little bone folder and I'm going to push down on the inside of my box so that my flaps stay stuck. Okay, that's our flaps. And I'm going to do it on the other side. And I'm just going to push it down so it stays stuck and stays stable. And now you have something, whoopsie, I didn't glue that too well. Let me just go in there again. You want your edges to stay attached. Okay, so now you have something that looks like this. This has a little bit glue on it, and there's our bottom flap. And I just realized that I didn't push it down far enough. All right, let's see if we can still do this. Oh yeah, we'll still be okay. This was our bottom flap remaining from our 6 1/8 inch piece. And we're going to glue that down to the existing part of our box, like so, a little in the middle. And we're going to fold it over and attach it to the bottom of our box, like so. You can see I didn't push my box down far enough. And I have a little bit of a lip, but that's okay. I think I had a little bit of a lip. Yeah, I had a little bit of a lip on this one too. It's okay. It's the bottom of the box. You're not going to see it. Now I'm going to put my box down, and I'm just going to reach in with my bone folder, and I'm just going to try and push down so that the bottom flap of our box stays together. Yeah, that worked. Okay, now you're all saying, what are you doing with that little 1/2 inch flap, Joni? I'm stabilizing the side of my box. So we have our little 1/2 inch flap still sticking out. And we're going to put some glue on it, not too much, so that it doesn't smush out. And we're going to fold that little 1/2 inch flap over. And we're going to push it down. And that's going to be a stabilizer for the side of our box. We want our box to be pretty sturdy, so we need all the help we can get. Okay, so now you can see I folded it down and I have a box that looks like this. Okay, now I did think I miscut. It's not quite straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissor and I'm just going to cut that little piece off there. Okay. That's what happens when you don't cut straight, like me. And my little edges still need to be kind of pushed down like so. We can worry about that after. Now, we're going to attach our flap to our box, like so. So what we're going to do is on the inside of the back of our flap or our lid, or however you want to put it, we're going to put some glue all around the edges, a little bit across the middle, and we're going to attach our flap to the back of our box. Now this is the part where I always mess up because I don't get it straight but I did this time. And we're going to make sure our edges meet up. And that's going to be the back of our box. Once again, we're going to lay it down. And we're just going to take our bone folder. And we're going to go inside of our box. And push down so that everything stays nice and secure with our glue. And we'll flip it and we'll just check the sides of our box again, because I did use a lot of glue. Let's flip it over and just do the inside edge of this one and make sure it stays. And we'll just turn it over. Oh, see, I didn't glue it down. Let's just make sure we have that on and it's secure, because we don't want our box to fall apart. And there you have it. Whoop, little excess piece. Here's your box. Okay, your little flaps tuck in on the sides. You have your little front, and that's the back. Okay, and you can see I didn't glue mine perfectly because this is not quite on quite straight. What we're going to do is we're going to make a closure. Use a string. I'm just gonna, this is the bottom of my box that's not staying stuck because I'm rushing to get the video done. And we're gonna cut a piece of string. I can't tell you how long to make yours. I'm gonna make mine, oh, let's see. I'm gonna make mine 14 inches. I'm gonna cut it, put this aside. Where's my little clip? I know I just had it. Oh, there it is. I use a little hair clip to keep my string from unraveling. And we're gonna take our little piece of string, and this is our top flap, and we're going to put it underneath our circle, like so. Let me turn this around because it might be easier for you to see. And we're gonna tie it on. I'm gonna just put a little knot in here so that it stays secure under our closure. I'm gonna go like that. And then I'm just gonna make that little box knot thingy. And so I'm gonna pull it and I'm gonna tie it from the other side if I can get a hold of it. And now we have our little string added. We're gonna clip off this extra piece. Like I said, this is why you can make your string as long as you want it. I always end up with extra. And so now we have our little string closure. And this, like I said, you're gonna have to, you have to play with it 1 or 2 times. Grab a hold of it and pull it up a little. And we're gonna put our string, I promise you it works. There we go. We're gonna put our string under our other little circle closure. And we're going to wrap it around like so. Oh, I didn't tuck my edges in. And now we have our little box with our string closures. I usually tie a knot in the end so that just in case my string starts to unravel, because it's just embroidery thread. There we go. We have our little box. And you can even use these for gifts. You can use them to hold your little Flippy Flappy journal if you made one with me. You can use it to hold your little deck of cards if you wanted to make a little deck of cards. Yeah, you can use it as a gift box. And here was my prototype that I made using extra sheets of paper. You can use whatever pattern paper. What I am hoping to do, this is the one that I messed up, but I do have the, whoop, here's the back. This is what I did. I cut off my bottom. I do have the flap constructed here, and I do have the front constructed here, and I printed out another piece of the paper, which I'm going to cut. This is a freebie from Tracy Fox when we did the Creep on June collab. I am going to cut another piece of paper and make my back again. And what I'm ultimately doing with that one, I've got so much going on right here right now, is I'm going to decorate the front and sides of it with butterflies from Tracy Fox's. This is an older kit. This is when she was still Love Junk Journals, when her logo was a little bit different. This is her Flutter by Fussy Cut butterflies. This is set 2. I am going to decorate my box with those. And then I'm going to create another set of cards using Luise Heinzl's Flutter kit, which is I guess you could call them fairies. It's a collection of pictures of beautiful women with butterflies. And I'm going to make a set of cards, and these are backgrounds by ArtyMaze. This is from her fairy kit that she put out, I think the middle of last year. I'm going to use these backgrounds to create a set of cards for those. And I'm also going to use some of ArtyMaze's, she has a set of her William Morris backgrounds. And I'm going to make another set of cards using all of those things. So thank you everyone for sitting through this with me. I hope you understood what I did. Again, if you have any questions or comments, if you haven't already subscribed, subscribing really helps all of us YouTubers out. It brings us out into that little YouTube realm that they've got going on out there. And if you can give me a thumbs up and like, comment, questions, subscribe, like. That's all you have to do. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as I said, if you have any questions about the measurements, just give me a comment. And I will link all of these kits, including the one that started it all, the Tracy Fox Creep On playing cards for Halloween, which are just awesome to play with. I will link all of the kits in the description box below the video, so click on that little piece that says more, and have an awesome rest of your day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello to Dave, hello to Tracy, and hello to the whole Foxy Creative Design team. Love you, hugs, bye.